I have no interest in starving as an artist. Never have, never will. I'm not, it's not going to happen on my watch.
No.
Not going to happen. So it's funny when guys come to me, it's like, do you teach business? I go, number one, first and foremost, be exceptional. That's your first thing. Without that, you're going to have if you're a bad plumber, if you're a bad, surgeon and everyone's dying when you operate, I mean, you're going to be out of business pretty quick. Right? So,
The surgeon.
You just got to think in practical terms. I mean, like if you are,
eight out of 10 patients make it on my watch.
yeah, I mean, come on, are you going to line up for this guy? I mean, so, so at some point it becomes skills are the key. And that's the cool thing about being an artist is that your work, precedes you. I mean, your work speaks for you. You don't need a degree. When I went up against and went into DreamWorks to interview with them for concepting, there was 2,000 portfolios. They kept 2 of them. Took 6 months, had to go through every department, had to agree to hire you, right?
Wow.
Every department has to say, yes, we want this guy. Yes, we want this guy. Yes, we want this guy. And then, so it's just, and when I interviewed with them, they asked me, where did you learn how to do all this stuff at such a young age? It wasn't like, where did you go to school? Because I didn't even have any computer background or any degree at the time. And I was good at selling myself. I worked as tons of freelance, tons of different clients. I'd taught, I'd done all these different things. So they were just very fascinated by, and I told them where I went to school and they said, oh yeah, we know about that place. But it was never any kind of there was never prerequisite. No. They never cared, really. They just they want your skills and they want someone. They don't care where you got them, really.
The proof is in the pudding, right? It's like, what are you doing? I have to tell this to people that are writers or actors or anything. It's like, you want to write, you want to act, you want to direct, do it, especially in this day and age. I mean, I get it in terms of fine artwork, like you've got to log the time and do this stuff, but there's no reason why you shouldn't be logging the time. Like, do it.
And that's the thing is, sweat equity is 90% of it, right? You've got to sit down, self-educate. You've got to think outside the box. You've got to understand. And this is what is challenging sometimes with the younger generation right now is simply, it's a new generation of where you were kind of brought up with nobody left behind. Everybody gets an award, sure. Everybody's, and I don't remember that, and it doesn't work that way when I got out there. So, right. But it was more like trying to encourage people to take that leap of faith, but also do it in an intelligent manner. Don't just throw a Hail Mary, up and hope somebody catches it in the end zone. Right. It's like, you look at these schools and I say that there's like a rite of passage to become a professional artist. There's numerous ones. Number one starts with where you get educated and making that decision intelligently, because these big company schools have a lot of money behind their advertising, right? And they're good at advertising, and you don't know until you come out and run into someone like myself or a school like ours, where it's just completely skill development 100%. Nothing else matters, right? So you could take head drawing 10 times, 15 times, and you're going to need to. In an accredited school, you're only allowed to take that class once, because you'll never graduate. Otherwise, they can't get you out of there in 4 years.
That's right.
So you're going to come out with a Cliff Note skill set, right? That just is not even close to intuitive. Speed's not going to be there. Efficiency's not going to be there. There's no way to take those skills and apply them to an industry where you can consistently deliver the goods and then make somebody a lot of money so that you can make decent money, right? So if Disney's making 30 billion off of a movie, I'm making 300 grand a year. That's still good money for me, but I don't expect to make the 3 billion, right? Or whatever, 30 billion they're making. They're Disney, right? They built a brand, but they need guys like me to produce do what they do. Otherwise they have nothing, right? They need guys working in Imagineering. They need guys, doing their theme parks. So I always tell people, how could you not make a good living as an artist? Everything you wear, everything you live in, the houses, the cars, everything is designed by the video games, the movies you watch, anything entertainment driven. It's all got to be laid down and formulated by someone visual. I mean, every freaking thing that people enjoy, without it, laboring humanity would perish, literally. There would be no point in anything. I mean,
could you imagine that if we had a world that didn't have that thriving, that life, that creative
imagine the pandemic without the entertainment value of whatever, and people would have gone bonkers. I mean, they were going bonkers anyway. And we had all these different avenues. Video games went through the roof. I mean, I know I
Mhm.
got a lot of guys at work, a lot of my students work at Blizzard and
Yeah.
Rockstar and places like that. And they go into that industry because it's very fertile and it's multi-billion-dollar industry, gaming,
Yeah.
video games, right?
No doubt.
And that
No
all has
doubt.
to be concepted and designed out. So um, it's just fascinating to me, like when some parent comes to me, and I spend a lot of time really talking to parents, and I take it very seriously. I don't, not every kid that comes to me, or person that comes to me, I am totally like, yeah, you got to go for it. I mean, I don't under, I say, be careful, be intelligent. Um, Anyone can learn how to be a really good draftsman, which means to be able to draw well, or painter, to be magical like a Frazetta, like a Sargent, like these great um, artists. That's something of, I don't know if it's genetic as much as it may be the magic, is what you would call it.
Right.
It's not something that's really should be taught. It's something that is part of that individual, and it won't even be able to be recognized, in my opinion, unless they're really well trained.
Hmm.
uh, you have to have just a huge, the vessel has to be really well prepared before you're even going to know what kind of true genius you may have, in
Here's
color composition, concepting, invention. I could just, so many different areas.
here's a curveball, because we were talking about before we came on here. y- you sort of describe yourself as like a little bit of a hard teacher, or tough as nails teacher.
Yeah,
Have you
tough love.
have you yeah, tough love, right? Have you ever had the situation, and I say this because of like the American Idol phenomenon that you would see with like
Yeah.
William Hung or anything like that. Have
Yeah.
you like and it's like literally people that think like I'm amazing. Like have you ever run into that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, delusions of grandeur, I mean,
Right?
and sometimes, they, there's an old saying that, well, I can't say it really because it's something floats and, you know, something
Crap
else
floats.
rises.
You can say
Yeah,
crap.
yeah, yeah, and cream rises, right? So a lot
Yeah.
of times on the surface, you'll have the illusion of a very successful person. Now, this is where it gets interesting because I'm a commercial artist, right? I've monetized my gift to make a living, a good living.
Yeah.
And I don't see any real problem with that. I've struggled at points in my life with um, the full extent of that, but that's more of a spiritual type um, dilemma, That's
What
something within me.
do you mind unpacking some of that? Like what is why not, man? You're here on the
No, no,
show
no.
to talk about it.
I'm an open book. I'm cool with any of this. But for me, I think that whether the spiritual aspect. So most of my life, I've strong armed the universe to manifest and make a living. Right. I've pushed my way through with intensity rather than consciously co-creating with it. Right.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
when you're an artist, whether you're a musician or gifted, whatever, it moves through you. So
Mhm.
to claim it as your own, or to actually, if you talk to any really good artist, they're going to say, it just came to me in the shower, or it just kind of flowed through me, or whatever. I just wrote that song in 30 minutes,
Yeah. Right.
whatever, or it just came like that, or
Sometimes I call it like left field thinking. I've had these moments where I'm just walking along, you just go, "Oh, that totally, thank you, God." Like that
yeah,
came
yeah,
out
or
of
just
it.
so, so when you're thinking about like how you are creative and why you're creative, and you're unpacking that with yourself, because it's a journey towards self-awareness and self, know thyself, right?
Right.
How are you
Yeah.
going to be impactful with your work if you don't fully understand, or at least appreciate the magic in it, right, where it's coming from? So when I think that, the spiritual aspect to my life has always been a huge factor from a very young age. I grew up in a family that was quite open to anything and everything as far as beliefs, right? It wasn't like I didn't have a set structure. It was up to me to find that structure, which
Mhm.
actually was, a wonderful way for me to go with my mindset.
Mhm.
I would have probably bucked a lot of the more mainstream, just because it wouldn't have resonated as much with me. So art to me is my kind of religion. It is kind of my direct connection with source, and so for me, when I work, it's kind of interesting because people would say, do you visualize? Like, I was trying to figure this out. I go, when I close my eyes, I don't see very clearly anything. So, which is very strange, right? You would think that being a really good visual artist, I'd have an incredible ability to fabricate imagery, and it's
Right.
it's very fuzzy, it's very ethereal, it's very nondescript. So when I bring that forth onto a canvas or a drawing, and it's very accurate, or more, even more accurate, and it's a magical, weird, it's almost like I said, it's like Braille. So like I'll go look at a great painting and I'll get a feeling from it. And then when I'm painting, I'll have a similar feeling knowing that I'm going in the right direction, but I'm going by feeling more than I'm going by what's in my mind's
Wow.
eye. So
Wow.
I paint a lot in a very, I don't know if this is unique to me or other people. It's not a lot of artists really, at least that I've known that wrote books on painting or anything. They don't dive into the more ethereal aspects of what makes them tick and why and how they operate. And I have to imagine they've thought about it or confronted it at some point, but whether or not they're just unwilling to actually communicate it in a way that's articulate enough for most general people,
Yes.
laymen, to understand is a whole nother thing. So
Well, and
I
here's the fine thing with yourself, for example, is that you are such an articulate person, right? You're basically talking about people that the way that they express themselves is through the medium, right? So,
yeah, it's a
right.
visual medium. So
You happen to have this other ability where you're able to teach and talk, right?
yeah, and that's what is such a weird gift. But so in my teaching, I will talk like I am right now while I'm doing a painting,
Right.
a good painting, right? So the painting is happening on a different not dimension, but a different plane of thought. And
Mhm.
so it's a right left brain dance between, you could think of it as masculine and feminine energy, which is very odd because a lot of people think, oh, feminine energy, you're a man, you're not feminine. It's more of this dance between polarities of energy, right?
Mm.
So when you're painting, your thinking mind is going to be more your masculine, right? So when you go into logical thinking, problem solving, I got what's my edges, my values, my shapes, my design, my calligraphy, how things are working. That's the thinking mind. That's the masculine, right? And then the feminine's more free flowing, um, expressive color, brushstrokes that are very intuitive.
Right.
Pick up 4 different kinds of colors and spin it and see what happens. It's more expressive, right? So a good painting to me, or a good, is a dance between these two paradigms: thinking, feeling, feeling, thinking, thinking, feeling, feeling, thinking, constantly dancing between the two and being able to poetically ride that wave and direct it, and then also know when to get back and let whatever it's coming from do
Mm.
its thing.
Thanks for checking out this segment of Your Creative Journey podcast. Please make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. And if you want to see exclusive content that's not shown anywhere else, visit kevingregg.locals.com. It's free to sign up, and it's a great way to support upcoming content on this channel. Thanks again for seeing us, and we will see you soon. God bless.